And we are live, Newsday Tuesday. I'm your host, Rome. Len, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Rome?
Doing good. Very tired today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It was one of those throw it in fifth gear Mondays, pretty much before I even walked in the door. So, and we'll be talking about one of those stories when we do the news. But, here's the good news. I'm looking outside. You can see that this room is very light today. That's because there's this big orange ball up in the sky that we're seeing for the first time in days. Certainly March is that month of transition, um, and it starts rough. And you have a few days in there that are pretty rough, and we'll still have some in April and May. But the thing is, what I tell folks is every week it's a little bit less, and every week it's a little bit warmer. And today, our storm tracker weather team said I think it's going into the 40s. So you can golf in that. You can do a lot of things in that. So, at least for now, it's very sunny. So if that holds up, we just gotta keep going forward. We're gonna get there. Hopefully, we're
We're
gonna get you
almost
and I
there.
out golfing.
Yeah, we gotta go golfing.
Okay, I want to do it.
Yeah. Well, where do you get your golfing gear? Like
Um,
Dick's?
I've gone to Dick's. Yep, Dick's Sporting Goods. I got my starter golf set there. And then, there's generally, they say, two kinds of golfers. There's the kind that just buys a set and gets it all fitted and it works great. Well, first set, usually you just take what you got. And that's what I have right now. Then, once you get more advanced, which I'm not that good yet, I guess you could argue maybe I am, but probably not. um, you can get your next set and get them fitted. That's one thing that people do. They'll buy a whole set of clubs. And then there's other folks that will sort of mix and match. They'll get a club here and a club there. And I'm definitely one of those. I've got a club that one of my photographers gave me. It was his late grandfather's club, and I love it. And then, there's other clubs that came from my original set that I still use, like a pitching wedge. Once you get good with those, you really don't want to move off them. But I've picked up some funky clubs over the years. My next big quest is to get what's called a lob wedge. And there, answering your question, I'll go to Mike's Golf Outlet or Golfer's Warehouse. That's down in the Murphy Road area in Hartford. Where the Lobster Pot used to be, or I think it was the Lobster, what was it called? That huge seafood restaurant. But you know what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
and your listeners and viewers do too. Both great stores, but there's tons of places you can go that are great. But Mike's Golf Outlet, I really like. It's very no frills. You're not going to get steals, but you'll get bargains there. I've
Yeah.
gotten Mrs. B Club there, her sister, gotten a few for myself. Um, I like the 7 wood I got there. I don't like the 3 wood I got there. It's probably more me than the club, though.
Do you get the gloves too, or no gloves?
You got to have the gloves because the problem is you start to blister. And if you
Oh
start blistering, you're not going to be able to swing. You're not supposed to hold the club that hard. That's one of the toughest things that I'll admit even I still struggle with. Um, but you definitely want to wear a club at least on your lead hand. So if you're a righty golfer, on your left hand, and a lefty golfer on your right hand. What are you? Are you a lefty or a righty when it comes to golf?
right.
Okay, that's easier. Life's easier
Yeah.
when you're a righty. There's tons of righty gloves everywhere. And generally, what I do is I'll just go and get the cheapest one because you'll rip through them, 2, 3 a season. Buy the 3 or 4 pack.
We'll be golfing this spring, this summer.
I think let's at least get to the range and see what you can do.
Yeah.
That's usually the good first step, rather than just getting you out there swinging. But let's do it. That'd be a great video segment. Maybe we'll do our segment when we could shoot it, and we'll talk offline about that. But that could be a fun way to do things.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I'd love to do the news while I'm golfing.
Yeah. Be different.
Yeah, different's good. We like that.
So a lot of fun stuff going on the weekend. March Madness, watching some new movies, eat some good food. So my movie for this week is Max 2. It's a dog movie about like an army, the president, and he's an army dog. Very good movie.
I love dog movies, even if they're sappy. Who doesn't love a dog movie? I've got 2 downstairs driving me crazy this morning. But love them all the same. And yeah, Max 2. Okay, I think I've heard of that. Is it German Shepherd?
I think it's a Belgian.
Okay. Then I haven't heard of it. Okay. I'm thinking of another one. Oh, there's one of my dogs barking. You probably don't hear it, hopefully. You might hear that. Okay, good. I won't open the window then. But anyway, no, I haven't heard of Max 2. I will admit I'm taking the easy route on TV and entertainment. Actually, it's not easy. It's just truthful. All I did was watch basketball pretty much Thursday through Sunday. A lot. And it's not so much even saying that you watched it. It's saying which one you watched. And there were so many great stories to watch. One of my favorite was the Nebraska game, where Nebraska, which is a team I'm not sure it's ever gotten to a Sweet 16. Nebraska for football. They got those big hulking linemen and stuff. But basketball's not their thing. And they were tied with just seconds on the clock. And one of their players, a freshman, got the ball, and he grew up like 10 miles from the arena where the game was being played. I don't know how, but it was being played, I guess, close to his home. And he scored the winning basket and, pushed Nebraska into the Sweet 16. That was one of the best stories. But there were so many great comebacks and great games. You can't lose with March Madness. Even the way that the NIL, arguably, according to some, has changed the way it works now, where players are jumping from one team to another, a lot like free agency in basketball. But you get to this stage, and I still think there's a good bit of school spirit. So did you catch any of the madness?
I caught a few games on Sunday. Yeah, there's a lot of games going on. Yeah, UConn, and I caught a Lakers game, and if I'm not mistaken, I think OKC.
All right. Hopefully that was the NBA on NBC.
Yeah.
All right. There you go. We got a very big programming schedule with the NBA. And now, not to be too much of a shill, but we got baseball coming up pretty soon too. Sunday Night Baseball on NBC is coming back. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. How do you think UConn's going to do, Rome? Men in the tournament.
I think they're going to do good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think they're getting knocked out next round.
You think so?
I think so. I can't remember who they're playing. I know that there's a possibility they could play St. John's, which has been a big rivalry this year, but I'm not sure if it's the next game or the game after that, that they would have to win. But I'll tell you the truth, that when it came to my bracket, I had it all set. I picked UConn to win. And then on Wednesday night, I had just second thoughts. And I went back in there and changed the whole thing. And now I got Duke winning it. And by the way, I'm in first right now. So we'll see if that holds. The big bracket thing that I did was, I read a few articles, not as many as I normally would, research. And what it said was that the big number, because of the NIL, what I talked about before, which I don't remember what it stands for, but essentially NIL means that college players can get endorsements and stuff like that. And they can move from team to team more, and they get paid to some degree. And so a lot of people say that's ruined college sports, and it's arguable. But When you get to this stage, like I said, it gets to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of spirit. And boy, that UConn St. John's rivalry has really heated up with Pitino and Hurley, the coaches and the players. And so we'll see. We'll see. I'm glad you think UConn's going further. I wish I felt that way. And certainly I'm rooting for UConn. Uh, on the women's side, holy moly, they played last night, I think it was, and just squashed whoever they. I think it was Syracuse, and I think they doubled Syracuse's score. I think it was like 96-45 or something. So my entertainment is not a movie; it is March Madness, without question.
So much sports going on.
Nuts. I got a fantasy baseball draft tonight. I've been studying hard. Football's nuts. They just finished free agency, and the draft comes up next month. Obviously, you got hoops going on like crazy. Hockey, anything you want, Rome.
Yeah,
anything you want. Probably leads me to another fun stuff one. Let's do the sports one. I was out golfing. Mrs. B and I went out on Friday. She had the day off for the holiday, Eid. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's a big holiday with Muslims, as I understand it. I'm not going to pretend I totally understand it, but she had off because a lot of the kids in her school have the holiday off. So I said, I'll take the day off. Mrs. B, we went out to the East Hartford Golf Club and did 9 holes at, heat of the day. It was cool. It was windy, but it was doable. What's your big sport?
Tennis.
Really?
Yeah. Tennis.
Watching or playing?
Both. I'm trying to study more. Definitely trying to play.
It's a fantastic game. Yeah, it's a great game. You can seriously burn a lot of calories doing that. My dad did that when I was a kid. He and his buddy would go out on a Saturday morning, just go to the high school courts at like 8 a.m. and just hit. They wouldn't even play. And he would, this is in the 70s, and he'd go out there with a big thing of Gatorade. They even had that then. And come back soaked. And it was just a great workout. I played tennis for a long time. I even played in high school for a year on the team. Can't do it anymore with the knees. But your knees are probably outstanding. So play tennis, have fun.
Yeah, it's a good exercise. But I have some players of the week.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I got Lakers, Luka. He dropped 33 points in a recent game. And OKC Alexander, he dropped 31 points. 76ers Tyrese, 29 points. And Boston Jaylen Brown had 28 points.
Those are some serious point totals. I know that Boston's getting pretty excited. They got one of their best players back recently. So hopefully they're going to make a late run. I know my youngest daughter will be very happy. She lives up in the Boston area, and she and her boyfriend follow them closely. They've been to a few games. I don't know how they get tickets.
It must be nice.
Yeah. I've only been to one NBA game. Have you ever been to one?
Nah. I got to go to one.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. StubHub might be your friend. I remember I worked with a guy when I was at Channel 3 who that's where he'd get tickets. And you could see as you got closer to the day of the game, if it wasn't like a big game, the prices would keep dropping. So like, I wouldn't recommend going to the Garden in New York. That's going to be an adventure. But you could probably get to the Boston Garden pretty quick and watch a game. Now, who's your team again? It's not the Knicks or the Celtics, right?
The Knicks.
It is the Knicks. All right. You might be able to get tickets. They're better this year. But, you could. It's possible. It's possible.
Gotta make it happen.
So, I was really bad on the fun stuff this week. I copped out and gave you March Madness. I said I'm playing golf for sports. And the food isn't really that good either. Well, it actually is really good. But it's candy, which there's no real excuse for that. Except I really like this particular. I don't really eat a lot of candy, but during the weekend, it was this gray, dreary weekend. And, I was going out to get some takeout. for Lindsay and I. And I was like, yeah, this is just boring. You got to have something for dessert. So I ran over to the 7-Eleven. I got her favorite, which are these pretzels, chocolate covered pretzels. Everybody loves the flips. And then I got, yeah. I like them too. The Swedish fish, which is one of my big driving secrets. Like if I'm driving and I'm tired, yes, I'll drink coffee. Yes, I'll drink all those energy drinks, for long drives. But the other trick is Swedish fish. Don't say it 10 times fast. Great sugar, wakes you up, and it takes a long time to melt in your mouth. So it's good to drive with.
Yeah.
So that's my food, which isn't food.
You can eat a whole bag of those quick.
Absolutely. Knock them down, no problem. No problem. I get the big industrial bag, like when I'm traveling. And you go into the rest stops and it's like, yeah, I'll get the $5 bag. I'm good. And then I can't eat Swedish fish for like 6 months.
Yeah,
You
you gotta take a
binge.
break. Yeah.
Right. So like what we got Easter coming up in a few weeks here. Like I will eat Easter egg candy, the jelly beans. I will eat jelly beans for days. And then that's it. That's it for a year. I got to wait a year because I burnt out. Even the designer ones, they're all fancy now. You can get coffee flavor and caramel flavor. And you ever have the Harry Potter ones, which are the nasty ones?
Yeah, I don't like those.
Once I had one, a soap flavored, and it was nasty.
Yeah, those are terrible.
Yeah. Now, do you have the same thing where you burn out on like the specific holiday candy, like candy corns, jelly beans?
Yeah, chocolate, Kit
Chocolate even.
Kats,
Wow.
Reese's. Yeah,
So you'll binge and then you're out for a few
yeah.
months.
Gotta take a break.
Yeah, I get that. Like candy corns and jelly beans are my two where have them during the holiday, Halloween or Easter, but then can't have them for a year because I just binge too hard on them.
Same.
Well, facts are facts. And when we get to facts, we should probably get to the news. So much stuff on this Newsday Tuesday. Let me give you some of the highlights here. One of the big stories NBC Connecticut did yesterday. It was an NBC Connecticut Investigate special that we were working on. It wasn't something for months, but something we've been looking at recently were these inmate deaths at DOC facilities in Connecticut. And we were honestly getting ready to do an interview about that yesterday. And then we got word of another inmate death. So now they've had 6 in 2 months. The latest one was at Osborne. It happened, he was discovered about 1:30 on Sunday afternoon, March 22nd. And they immediately did life-saving measures on him, but they brought him to the hospital. He died a short time later. He was 45 years old. His name is Craig White from New Haven, according to the DOC. And he was in for about 3 years for threatening. This death, I believe at this time, has been classified as untimely. We spoke with experts in the incarceration field in terms of what might be going on here, and they just said probably more scrutiny is needed. And let's see what happens in this investigation. On social media, it's been interesting because we've had a few posts on this. A lot of people say, oh, it's just another one, and the DOC is going to wallpaper it over. But you know what? The DOC is getting new leadership coming in. I spoke with one correction officer I know who is optimistic that the new person in charge may bring a fresh change. So we'll see. But that was one of the big stories, remains one of the big ones, inmate deaths. One of them was somebody who died who was in prison for allegedly, or no, convicted of attacking a state representative. You might have heard of that, Miriam Khan, outside of the Hartford Civic Center. And then he was found dead in his cell. There may be more on that. We'll see. We're definitely digging around on this story at NBC Connecticut Investigates. Switching to national, a woman who accused actor and comedian Bill Cosby of sexual assault more than 50 years ago had a case in civil court, not criminal court. And she was awarded more than $19 million this week. This is a jury in Santa Monica, California. He was convicted in 2018 of sexually assaulting a woman back in 2004. Cosby served 3 years for that, but his conviction was overturned in 2021 and he was released from custody. Again, this is a civil case, so he's not going to be facing any criminal charges, but a civil jury has now found him guilty of sexual assault and awarded this woman $19 million. We'll see if it sticks. Other news, I got to come back to March Madness. Let's end with something fun. You're watching it, Rome. I'm watching it. And it's off to its best start on record in terms of viewership. Who would have thunk? The tournament averaged 9.8 million viewers for the first 3 days. That's the first 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday, along with Thursday's first round. That's a 5% increase from last year. CBS and TNT began showing all the games in 2011 after CBS had done early rounds in regional windows from 1991 through 2010. So what they're saying there, the Associated Press in that story, is that now you can see everything. It's one of the beauties of streaming. As much as we might get frustrated sometimes with streaming, one of the good things about it is literally every game is out there and you can watch every game in one way, shape, or form. And boy, I watched a lot. And I'll be watching a lot this weekend. Love the March Madness. And that's all the news I got for you, Rome.
All right. Thank you, my friend. See you next Tuesday.
All right. I know we're going to have more hoops to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You be well. We'll see you next Tuesday.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Take care, Rome.
And that is it. This week's news updates. Your host, Go Rome TV, the Rome Show podcast. News updates with my friend Len Besthoff from NBC Connecticut. And also, this episode is sponsored by school.com by Dr. Aaliyah, the Balance Blueprint. Sign up now, and you will be taken care of. Peace.